Welcome, everyone, to another edition of The Travel Show with your host, Ted Blank of Ted Blank Luxury Travel and Adventure. And we are going to dig into a fun topic with him. You've been doing show prep, I heard.
Mo, I spent the last week doing show prep, so I think we're going to have a good show today.
The last week. Well, I have to tell you, I'm excited to hear what the topic is. You were on a little trip yourself.
I was actually on a relaxation vacation.
So you don't get a ton of those, I know.
No, and I like to see new things and discover new things, and I like to be engaged on vacation, but every once in a while it's nice just to kind of kick your feet up and relax and enjoy just a week of kind of quiet relaxation. So
Absolutely.
I was gone for a week and I relaxed.
You really did?
I did, yeah.
What does that look like for you?
Well, for me, this was a cruise. It was a 7-day cruise in the Caribbean, and we left from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and spent 7 days just kind of exploring the Caribbean at a very leisurely pace. And I came back sunburned and relaxed. So it was a good thing.
Love that.
Yeah.
So when you say explore, where do you stop first?
Well, this particular cruise was 7 days long. And so we had 3 relaxing days at sea. And we visited 3 different ports. We went to a private island in the Bahamas that's owned by the cruise line. And so this was on Princess Cruises. So the private island is called Princess Cays.
How do they have their own island? What
they
the
rent
heck?
it. They rent an island. And I think a lot of people don't, when they think about cruises, they tend to think about the ship, and that's something we can talk a little bit about. But in the Caribbean, one of the highlights of a Caribbean cruise are the private islands or the private ports that the different cruise lines have developed. And they can be anything from very simple, like in this case, it was basically a beach and some cabanas that you could rent and put the tent over the door and just kind of relax in the sea breeze. Beautiful ocean. You could swim or you could snorkel. You could, use those little Hobie cats that you pedal and all sorts of little water sports. They brought lunch ashore, so you got to have a nice lunch.
So
on
how
shore.
many people are on this ship?
So the ship carries about 3,600 people.
Oh, they had room for all of those
Yeah, so it's a pretty big
folks?
island, and it doesn't feel crowded. Plenty of places, plenty of chairs, plenty of places to sit, sun and shade. And, this was a pretty simple private island. Some of them are a lot more elaborate, and they might have, a place for kids where there's almost like a mini amusement park, and a place for adults where you have pools and bars and things like that. And so they're just a neat part of the Caribbean cruise experience. And until you've gone to one, I don't think you really can understand how cool of an experience it is. So many cruise lines have these. They're all different. And that was one of the neat things on the cruise. So we went to the private island, which in this case is located in the Bahamas.
So when you say private island, do people that work there live on this island?
Nobody lives there. It's just a sandbar, almost. And so the people who work there from the Bahamas, they commute by, they come in by ferry. They come in the morning when there's a ship there, and they get everything set up for you, and they actually bring the food right from the ship on board. And, you have your beverage package from the ship, and it works on the island as well, so you can enjoy a nice tropical cocktail underneath the palm tree. And it's just real relaxing, just a neat thing. And the ocean is so clear in the Bahamas. It's just beautiful. Probably not a place you'd bother to go in terms of a vacation destination, but because it's something you can experience on a cruise, it's just kind of a neat bonus there. And then we also went to San Juan in Puerto Rico and St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were really everywhere.
Yeah.
So tell us about San Juan.
Puerto Rico is a U.S. island. It's part of the United States. And San Juan is a very, very old city. It was founded by the Spanish in the 1500s. And so when you come in, you sail past this beautiful old fortress that they built to defend the ship against the pirates and against the British. And then San Juan has a very charming old town to it, built in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, very atmospheric. They were playing my favorite Christmas carol everywhere I went.
Which is?
Feliz Navidad,
Oh.
which is Puerto Rican. So you could hear that. But they
I
have
didn't
Christmas
know-
trees. It's kind of cool. They have Christmas trees up in the town square in Puerto Rico in, 95-degree weather.
Wow.
So we had a chance to visit the fortress and do a little bit of a historical walking tour, which was really neat. But there are other things you can do, too. Some nice beaches. There's actually a tropical rainforest that's a national park that you can go to. So lots to do in San Juan. We got there at 9 in the morning. The ship didn't leave until 9:30 p.m. So if you wanted to go ashore and do a lot, you could sure do that. If you were like me and you just wanted to kind of relax, you could go back to the ship early and just enjoy the ship.
Because there's so many things to do on the ship itself.
Yes, so many things that involve a lounge chair and sitting back and reading and relaxing and just enjoying. But certainly they have activities and shows and all those things you can do as well. And then that's what I think makes it a really neat way to travel, is that there is so much available to you that you can choose from. But you can also just choose to do nothing if you want to, and people watch, for example.
I love people watching.
Oh, it's great. The things you see, you never believe it.
No, you don't. You almost take pictures.
You almost could.
Yeah, no kidding. So you did that, and you visited San Juan, and then St. Thomas is so beautiful.
It's a beautiful island, has some really, really beautiful beaches. And if you like snorkeling, great place to go.
Is St. Thomas the one that it has two different sides?
That's St. Martin.
St. Martin. Oh, that's right.
St. Thomas is American. So these were all U.S. ports except for the Bahamas.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so what did you do in St. Thomas?
Well, the first thing I did is that I didn't turn on my alarm clock. And I think that was probably the biggest highlight of the vacation, was to not have to set my alarm. So I'd been to St. Thomas before, but that was fine. I just got up when I wanted to, had breakfast, went in the pool on the ship, and then went for a nice walk through town. Beautiful downtown, lots of interesting shops, walking distance from the cruise terminal. There are some really beautiful beaches there if you wanted to go a little bit further afield, but I was in no hurry.
And the shopping is great.
Shopping is great. Yeah, it's a great place to go, but I was in no hurry. I just kind of enjoyed a relaxing day, and if you asked me what I did, I'd almost say I kind of did nothing. But it just felt good to turn off the alarm clock and not have to worry about that.
Because you don't get a chance to do that,
Well, none of us do we? Every day, even weekends, it seems like. And especially, I was thinking when I was there that this was sort of the first week in December when I went on this cruise. And what a great time to go. Because, you've kind of gotten through Thanksgiving and, time with family, all that. That's great. But there's it's a busy time. You don't get too much downtime. You don't get to relax too much. And then you're gearing up for the busy, busy Christmas season, which, again, not a lot of downtime, a lot of things, exciting things to look forward to. But it was nice just to kind of decompress a little bit right in the middle of the holiday season. And the weather in the Caribbean is great at this time of the year. No worries about hurricanes or anything like that. And
when does that start?
That's September, October, August, September, October time frame. So, this is people maybe wouldn't think about it, but I think it's actually a really good time to think about taking a warm weather vacation, and way less crowded than in March when everybody's on spring break.
Mm-hmm. So the week was probably the perfect amount for you, or?
Yeah, it's just a nice amount of time to relax, and then you're kind of ready to come home at the end. So yeah, it was really relaxing, and I had a chance to think a little bit about vacations and travel and that stuff too, and picked up a couple observations along the way.
What are they?
One of them, certainly the alarm clock was probably my first observation, that moment when you can turn the alarm clock off on your phone and not have to worry about turning it back on. Isn't that, what a liberating feeling.
Well, it is, and it's amazing how long you can sleep. I call it under my own power.
Exactly.
I'll say to my husband, now tomorrow I'm going to...
Don't wake me up.
No, I'm going to sleep and wake up under my own power.
Yeah.
It's amazing how long you can sleep.
Yeah, but you don't get a chance
can sleep a good 9 hours.
Yeah, we're
how
all
about
so
you?
busy. Oh, yeah, I can too. And we're just all so busy, and we have so many things we don't want to miss. It was kind of nice to do that. So observation one, when you're looking for a relaxing vacation, definitely the opportunity to turn off the alarm clock is, to me, the priceless part of things. But then I was also thinking, so last year at this time, I went to Mexico, and I stayed at a very nice all-inclusive resort near Cancun. And this year I took a cruise, and I was just kind of comparing and contrasting them, between my afternoon cat naps. And a couple things about cruises really stuck out that I thought, maybe people who haven't cruised before wouldn't quite realize. And the first one is that I think on any cruise ship, a moderately priced up to a luxury cruise ship, apples to apples up against a resort in that same category, you're going to have much better service and much better food on a cruise. And I'll thumb wrestle anybody, I can give you details on it, but I think that's really true. The staff on cruise ships are really, really well trained. And it takes a special person to be able to actually do that type of a job. And with resorts, oftentimes they put up a now hiring sign, and
it's
they hit or miss, and the people there don't necessarily get much training. And so it really does make a difference. And when you see service delivered in the way service should be delivered, with a smile, with friendliness, with care in a way that you can really feel good about the experience without having to fight, and argue to try to get what you want. It really does make a difference. Food definitely, I would say, is superior, much more varied, many, many more choices. The things you can do on a cruise ship, many, many more than you can do on a resort. And I'll occasionally have people say to me, well, I don't want to take a cruise because I'm afraid I'm going to be stuck on a ship all day. And I'm like, there's way more to do on a day in a cruise ship than there is at a resort in a week. But the entertainment is also really excellent. They have a variety of different entertainment venues on board the ship. They have the main show lounge. And so 3 nights they had big production shows. And they were all really, really well done. The performances were excellent. The singers and dancers, top-notch. These weren't traditional, old-fashioned Broadway musicals. They were kind of modern, contemporary, very, very engaging and entertaining. They had a kind of a country rock group that performed one night. They had a juggler. And I'm like, well, I don't really need to go see the juggler, but he was really, really good. They had a comedian. And then afterwards, you can go to a variety of different lounges. They have lounges where they have dancing, I would say dancing for grown-ups, and then they have a disco where they have dancing for people who just kind of twitch on the dance floor. They don't really know how to dance, but they just kind of twitch. We found this jazz club that we really liked, and each night there was a jazz musician, and she had a 4-piece band with her, and they would do different jazz music for a couple hours each evening. So just lots and lots of choices that you can enjoy. Some nights they actually had pool parties up by the pool. They had a pool disco. They had a Caribbean night, where they had the people could do the limbo and all that stuff. So just really, really something for everyone, but delivered really, really well. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that if you haven't experienced a cruise, you maybe haven't experienced how nice of a job that they can do.
Well, and as you have always said, there are so many different kinds of cruises and different levels.
Exactly.
Where would you put Princess?
The Princess sits kind of in the premium space. So if you were to say kind of good, better, best, they sit right in the middle of the premium space.
Okay.
And they do, in my opinion, they do a very, very good job. Their staff is very well trained. They're very professional. They're friendly. They know what they're doing. If you have a question about a drink on the menu, they can answer it for you. A lot of times go out for dinner here or something like that and you ask a question and nobody knows the answer. They know the answer. The staterooms are large. They're spacious. We had a nice balcony. So the one day I did have to work, I would sit out on the balcony and, just watch the ocean go by. And Princess has done something recently that's kind of cool. They've introduced a system that they call the Princess Medallion. And it consists of 2 things. It consists of an app that's on your phone and a little medallion device that's about the size of like the radio dial in your car. And you can wear it on a string around your neck. You can actually have a little piece of jewelry you can put it into. You can put it into your pocket. And basically, it's a geolocator device. And so if you have your medallion with you, anybody can find you because you're exactly where you are. So when you get to your room on the ship, you don't have to put your key card in. The door opens automatically when you get close to it. But here's where the magic is. So imagine you're sitting out by the pool on a cruise ship, and it's a nice day, and you're feeling a little thirsty, and you want to order a cocktail.
Stop it.
Or you're feeling a little peckish, and maybe you want to order some nachos.
Yes.
For example, I know someone in this room who likes nachos.
There's only 2 of us.
Only 2 of us in this room, and I don't. No, I like nachos too. You open up your app, and you pick the drink you want. You pick the nachos you want, and 10, 15 minutes later, a charming, smiling staff person brings them to you right at your seat, or in my case, right on the balcony. As I'm working, there's a knock on the door, and there's someone with my nachos and my cocktail.
Unbelievable.
I mean, just amazing how well it works. And, you want coffee in the morning, you can do that. And there's still full service, so there's still bar waiters and stuff like that. But, let's say you went and sat kind of in a quiet area away from the pool where...
You didn't want to give up your chair.
You didn't want to give up your chair. I mean, nobody was going to take it. But, you're just kind of sitting there relaxing, reading your book. You press these 2 buttons on the app, and boom, it appears. And it really, really works well. I was really impressed. This is the first time I had experienced the Princess app. And it's interesting because I had a client who had been on Princess Cruise a couple weeks before, and she's going on a cruise with a different cruise line a little later next year. And she said, oh, do they have the app do they have the same app? And I said, no, unfortunately they don't. And she's like, oh, that's really too bad. We really, really liked it. And it really did. It was just one of those times where a piece of technology kind of added to the experience instead of detracting from it. Because a lot of times technology makes things worse. It doesn't solve problems.
We don't want our phone necessarily.
No, we don't necessarily want our phone, but you press 2 buttons on your phone and boom, somebody's there with a smile. So it's really neat, and it just adds to kind of, again, the relaxed, laid-back experience you're having. And that's important. When you're going on vacation to relax, you really want to be able to relax. And so I did in a really, really nice setting where they took really good care of everyone on board.
Do you think that most people on this cruise were there to relax?
They were. I think they were.
So you can help us when you meet with us to decide what kind of vacation we might want. You can help by saying this is a cruise where you would be able to relax. Because some cruises, if you didn't set your alarm clock, you might miss a lot of things.
Yeah, and when you talk about cruising, we kind of talk about 2 different types of cruises. Destination cruise lines, or cruising, which is, the Mediterranean or Alaska, where you're going there to see the sights and the destination is the primary driver. And yeah, you probably do want to set your alarm clock on those cruises. And then kind of resort-style cruising, which is the Caribbean, the Mexican Riviera, warm weather, just really there to enjoy the climate. The places you go, they're not the primary driver. If we had gone to a couple different islands in the Caribbean, that would have been fine as well. They would have been equally interesting to me, but it was just the opportunity to just really relax, disconnect. Great internet service, so I didn't have to disconnect, but relax, disconnect, turn off the alarm clock, put my feet up, and have a good time. And that's really what it was about. And we all need to do that sometimes. And so I think a cruise is a great way to do that. And certainly, if you're thinking about January, February of next year, there is some space available. We could certainly get you in there. But if you're kind of looking a little bit ahead to the future, maybe put in the back of your mind that early December can be a really good time to go. It's a little bit of a value season in terms of pricing, but everything's operating at full capacity. Just won't be as many tourists there. And that made for a really nice experience. And you can see I got a little sunburn in the process, too, so the weather was nice.
Love it. Ted, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that, please?
Well, I do have my alarm clock turned back on.
You do?
So I'm back in the office now. But the best way to get a hold of me is to give me a call at 651-964-8245, or you can visit my website, tedblanktravel.com, and you can sign up for my e-newsletter there, or you can request an appointment with me, and we can talk about your next relaxing or maybe your next inspiring trip, or split the difference and find something in between.
Sounds perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Travel Show with host Ted Blank is brought to you on Thursdays, and we are so thrilled to be able to chat it up with Ted on a weekly basis. You are listening to The Travel Show on AM 1460 and FM 97.7 KDWA in Hastings. This travel show has been brought to you by Ted Blank, Luxury Travel and Adventures.